space. Well, not really. Take two. Here, in the Mitten State. Welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best things since the neutral zone. With your co-captains, Charlie Carden and Alex Terry.
Back again on the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. I am your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, captain of the USS Grand Petoskey for Starfleet International, Charlie Carden. And I'm joined by a special guest this week. Alex was otherwise obligated, could not join me. So we brought in a mutual friend, a luminary in Region 13 in Starfleet International, and also an officer aboard the USS Nomad. This is Erin Davies. Erin, how the heck are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You got it. And what we always like to do at Secret Friends in general is when we have somebody new who's joining us as a co-host, we have them give us their elevator pitch, their Reader's Digest version of how did you get into the life, as it were? How did you become a fan of genre stuff, in this case Star Trek, or just anything? So hit me with it. What made you a geek? What made you a Trekker?
My dad's a geek, and I grew up on The Next Generation, and then I just kind of never outgrew it.
That works. That's my story too, and I'm sticking with it. Well, cool. Well, we're picking up kind of where we left off before last episode, which was the rundown of Star Trek V, where we had Alex and I talked with Todd, who is my co-host over on the Prime Secret Friends Unite podcast. But we were talking about Deep Space Nine. So Deep Space Nine season 1 kicked off in January of 1993 and ran through May, June, or thereabouts. Let's see when that wrapped up in June of 1993. So truncated season. It was 10 episodes as opposed to the standard 26, which isn't it crazy to think that shows used to have 26 episodes in a season in like a 9-month season?
And yeah, so 26 episodes. Each episode is what, like an hour long?
Probably close to the magnitude of like 45 to 47 minutes once you cut out the commercials. Yeah.
I mean, now what do we get? 8 to 10, and
it's they're
high
40.
Production value,
yeah,
but
right.
Still.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, without a doubt, this is from a different time. But there's still some good stuff in here. But as with, as we've talked about with all of these, with the first season of really almost any show, but again, with the exception of the original series, which had some of that series' strongest episodes, both TNG and DS9 really suffered from kind of first season syndrome, and Voyager even more so, which is what Alex and I are going to be talking about next week. Wow, there were some stinkers in that one. But
first 3 seasons of Voyager were pretty bad. Yeah,
you could probably count on 2 hands episodes that were passable within those 3 seasons. I agree with you. But regardless, let's jump right back on into it. So we're covering episodes 11 through 20. In the first season of Deep Space Nine. Erin, I'm going to toss it to you to read these recaps, if you'd be so inclined. Episode 11 is The Nagus.
Do you get these recaps from Netflix? I'm curious.
I think it's from a Wikipedia page.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Nagus is Quark is named the head of the Ferengi Alliance by Grand Nagus Zek, but he is also now surrounded by enemies.
So this is the first real farcical Ferengi episode. And again, it has a lot of kind of moving parts that change and disperse with relationships, because we get introduced to Grand Nagus Zek, who is the absolutely superb Wallace Shawn, who really rose to fame a few years before this, being the Princess Bride with the inconceivable catchphrase.
I kept hearing him with my dinner with Andre being like, wow, that's interesting every time I saw his face.
That's awesome. But we also got a little bit more of a character study with Quark's brother Rom, who will become an enormous character later on in the series. Now, he was portrayed anywhere in the first season between a bumbling idiot or kind of a kind of a snarling Ferengi creep, as you see in this episode, where he's trying to once Quark is erroneously given this Grand Nagus title because in the end, at the end of the day, it's the Nagus trying to try out a successor to see if he can retire, and ultimately it's not his plan, and then he fakes his own death and blah blah blah. It's really kind of a sitcom-y episode, but yeah, you see Rom kind of taking a hard edge. And being like, well, now I'm going to kill my brother so that I can be Nagus, and it's just that is just not a character trait that really endures for the character, which I think is fine because that's the way all the other Ferengi seem to be. So why would you want to just have him kind of be another one of the pack?
I know, but when you see him like in later episodes, he's just so like vulnerable and sensitive. It's shocking, and how. He's just totally dedicated to his brother. It was shocking to me how unforgivable this was for me when I was watching it. I think I said It was almost unforgivable because he does redeem himself later in the season. But yeah, this was bold.
Was it inconceivable?
It was more, that's interesting.
Oh, fascinating. So any final thoughts on this episode before we move on?
I didn't feel that O'Brien has the temperament to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Let alone a substitute. And right. I also felt, Quark would make the perfect Grand Nagus.
Absolutely. And again, at the end of the series, the irony is, and not to spoil anything since it's been off the air for, 25 years, Rom does become the Nagus in the end. But he becomes the Nagus of a Ferengi alliance that is the complete flip side of the profit-driven Ferengi alliance that we're all familiar with. So it's interesting to contrast that versus his role in this. It just shows you that things are always in evolution, and when you don't have a steady hand on the reins. Now, this was story by David Livingston, who goes on to continue to write the series, but also teleplayed by Ira Stephen Bear, who is the most associated person, along with, I think, with Ron D. Moore for the series in general. So obviously, it just goes to show that at this early stage, they were really just kind of throwing some stuff to the wall to see what sticks, which is the case in, like I said, the other seasons that we discussed. So anyway, okay, moving on. Episode 12, Vortex.
Odo discovers he might not be the only one of his kind when a visitor from the Gamma Quadrant claims he can contact Odo's people.
Kind of one of these early whodunits. We get introduced to another race, and I'm not sure if it's made clear. I don't think they're a Gamma Quadrant race, the Miradoran. They're twins. So, yeah, and they're twins, but they're kind of like the Corsican twins. One dies and the other one feels pain, or the Crimson twins.
It was retired Daft Punk. 2040. That's what they look like to me.
Without the helmets and played by veteran Star Trek character actor Randy Oglesby, if I'm not mistaken. So just like one of those like Vaughn Armstrong, he's the other guy who's been every race. He's been in he's in every one of the classic series with the exception of TOS, and then we haven't seen him in the new series. But yeah, they just had certain people on speed dial, like, come on in, we gotta throw some ears and a snout on you, and you're an alien this week. So, but anyway, I thought, and the guest actor who was now I'm forgetting the name of the guy who was kind of stringing Odo along. It was Keldon or Claris or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
But he's a very familiar face, even again under light makeup. But yeah, this was clearly an early stab at like the mystery of Odo, and we know he's from the other side of the wormhole, and what does it all mean? And I think that he throws out the term shapeshifter or changeling, and Odo's like, "Ooh, what does that mean? What's going on?" So in the end of it, it ends up being a hustle. And this guy who leads Odo into the vortex over in the Gamma Quadrant is really just out to rescue his daughter. And then at the end of it, to escape death, the guy takes off, and then Odo dumps this guy's daughter on somebody, and she's never heard from again. So you assume she's okay, but who's to say?
Yeah, I'm sure she was okay. Who knows where they dumped her?
Yeah, right. Oh, they dump everybody on Bajor. Why not? That did seem to be kind of a common theme. So any other thoughts about this episode? I didn't find it to be particularly remarkable.
I actually really love this episode because they build up this is the build up for Odo's air of mystery. But I did feel he was a little bit extra with Quark. And you kind of see that throughout all he can still get the same message conveyed, maybe in a nicer way. He's just so mean to him all the time.
I hear it. Yeah, you're right. The extra. I like that.
Yeah, he's a little bit extra.
Gotcha. Well, I really love this next episode. This is 13 is Battle Lines.
Battle lines. The spiritual leader of Bajor, Kai Opaka, travels with Sisko, Bashir, and Kira on a trip to the Gamma Quadrant, but is stranded on a world where the dead are resurrected.
So I dig the concept. We have our first series, Death, of a B character, which is Kai Opaka, and again, she's the spiritual leader of Bajor. We know that Bajor is obviously really struggling. That was established obviously early on. They're trying to kind of find their way after the end of the Cardassian occupation. This one ends up being a great character study for Kira as well, because Opaka is the ultimate, cutting through the bullshit kind of person. She's very blunt, like, Kira, this is what you're struggling with, and knock it off, and face your demons. And Kira breaks down crying. This is where I thought in the first season in particular that Nanaz Visitor's character of Kira was named after Captain Kirk because of all the emoting she did. She like ugly cries this episode. She's like,
That scene where she's grieving though is really, really intense, and she does a remarkable job with it.
Right. Now, I do know, and I think she's a wonderful actor. And
I do too.
I think as time goes on, she displays that in different ways that aren't quite so Shatnery. But I think a lot of these kind of seemed Kirkish, which I just was like, oh, look at her being Kirk. She also kisses weird. I noticed that in later episodes where if she's kissing her boyfriend, who's the other Vedic Bareil, or later when she's with Odo, she just is a weird kisser. I don't know why it has always stood out to me, but whatever.
I've never noticed.
Yeah, I'm telling you, just keep your eyes peeled if you continue to watch more episodes. When she kisses someone, she's just like, ooh, it's very bizarre. But yeah, this was a great allegory. Obviously, you have the Knoll and the Knoll Ennis. I'm just grabbing from memory. On this planet in the Gamma Quadrant, the field itself will bring anyone back to life who dies, but the field itself is what sustains them. Within the environment only. So if they leave, they die. So in the end, Opaka, who dies when the runabout crashes, has to end up staying, and then it becomes her mission to basically bolster a peace once our people escape. So I thought it was, of the episodes that we've watched in season 1, I found this one to be a hit. I really thought it had some good pacing. It was a good kind of Star Trek story. I enjoyed it.
I only had one issue with it. They could have done more with Kai Opaka. I mean, because she's obviously still existing.
Right.
But they never did.
I think, and I didn't read them all, and keep it in mind, I'm kind of the canon police when it comes to Star Trek. Somebody will come at me and say, well, in a book, this thing or that thing happened. Well, everybody really knows, or it's a pretty firmly established fact that books are a separate continuity from the show. So I know for a fact there was a post DS9 finale relaunch. I read many of the books. Some of them I really enjoyed. And I know there was a book that I didn't read, but I've simply touched on blurbs of it, where Jake goes to the Gamma Quadrant. He visits this planet, and Opaka is able to leave with him, and I believe she comes back. But that is, again, that's post relaunch, and so it's never on screen.
Right, but even for like a special guest star, like they do all the time. I mean, they even do special guest stars like they did on The Next Generation. They'll even do that with people who've died as their daughters or something. They did nothing with her character except have her in a few flashbacks.
Yeah, I was going to say that's all it was. I know the episode at the end of season 2 where Bareil is accused of orchestrating this mass, or this mass, or selling out a group that got murdered, and it turns out it was Kai Opaka did it to she sacrificed her son and this group of people in order to save a different group of people. So she did show up in flashbacks of that episode. So I don't know that she was in any other, so it might have just been that one. So wonderful actor. I think her name is Carmine Devolia or something like that. You just see her one of those in the 70s and 80s. You just saw her in absolutely everything, and she was just great. So moving on, number 14 is Storyteller. Not a favorite of mine, but I'm gonna let you tackle that one, so you go for it.
O'Brien is recruited to save a Bajoran village from destruction by a mysterious cloud creature.
Oh my goodness. So an early attempt, obviously, to develop a relationship of some kind between O'Brien and Bashir, which by the end of the series, they're brothers. They're absolute brothers, inseparable. But at this early stage, I mean, Bashir was kind of at his peak level of being obnoxious because he was a young, cocksure, just got out of medical school, thinks his S doesn't stink kind of dude. We didn't know at this point that he was genetically engineered, so he kind of had that snarl going for him too. I've often wondered, was that attitude of his, was he overcompensating to kind of throw people off the scent?
I don't know.
I would almost think that would be a possibility because, we discover in season 6 that he was born with birth defects. He was genetically enhanced at his parents. His parents had him genetically engineered after birth to make him smarter and faster and stronger and all this stuff, which is illegal because of a little thing called the eugenics wars and a dude named Khan. But we don't find that out until the series is almost over. So other than that, he's just a guy.
So I really, really felt that this whole episode was just kind of a ripoff on the idea of The Next Generation's The Dolphin episode.
Totally.
I mean, that was my impression of the whole thing. I mean, you had that story and then the other story happening at the same time. But even on the planet, that whole Dowel Rock thing where they're holding up the Dowel Rock, it was very like He-Man, I have the power. It was. and then the guy tries to kill him and explains himself by saying like, oh, I just wanted this position, and then it's okay, he tried to commit murder.
Right.
All is forgiven. There's
a lot of under rug swept that goes on in Star Trek in general. Like anytime data malfunctions, like remember that 2-parter with the Borg and where Lore came back and took him over. At the end of it, it was like, you're good, it's okay, Data, come on. It's no problem. Or anytime the holodeck malfunctions, everybody's like, I'm sure it's not going to happen again. It's going to be totally fine.
The only thing I got from this that I really liked was when Nog was trying to resolve those diplomatic issues by saying, what did he say? See this as an opportunity.
Right.
I loved it. Do they have anything that you want? I did like that.
The barter system. So he really, but in the end, it's Jake who has to kind of educate him on how barter works. He says, no, we want latinum. Well, the guy doesn't have latinum. He has this. So it turns into, it's self-sealing stem bolts. You'll never find a better stem bolt in this sector. But it was kind of like, I'm sure you've heard that famous adage that there was a guy who started with a paper clip and kept trading it until he had a house.
Yeah, I remember following that, and at one point he had a really nice car.
Right, exactly. So it's the same concept, which is funny because Nog later on in the series, when he becomes a Starfleet ensign, he helps O'Brien do the same kind of thing. And it's that episode of the Great Material Continuum. It's have something, trade it, know somebody's hobby so you can talk to them. So he illustrates himself as a real hustler, a real salesman. Where in this episode, as a kid, he was like, "No, I want latinum, and that's all I want is latinum," and not understanding how bartering works. So
right.
It's a real evolution in his character. I never even, until I was talking about it, never even really thought about it in those terms. So you're right. That was, I would definitely say the B story was better than that Dowel Rock. There was my brother is a famous one for coining phrases just based out of stuff. And he said, moral of the story, K, Sarah, because Sarah was the dude in the village. I'm like,
yeah,
spot on, bro. Spot on. Thank you very much. All right. We're halfway through. Episode 15 is Progress. And this was, again, an early one that I really enjoyed.
Kira has to deal with a stubborn farmer played by Brian Keith, who refuses to leave his home even though it is slated for demolition.
Yeah, good one. Brian Keith, and again, he's an actor. I'm sure he seems like kind of a Hill Street Blues kind of guy, like he played those kind of roles in the 80s, but I would have to look him up on IMDb, but he's just got one of those faces where he played kind of a rough and tumble, either somebody who operated on the fringes of the law or a gangster or something like that, but just has a real edge to him, and this is a great episode. Again, there's a lot of character development for Kira because, again, she has to go and this guy and say, hey, we got to get you out of here. And he's like so super on the humble. He's like, I appreciate that, but I'm good. I'm going to stay put.
I felt she was too emotional.
Yeah. Well, again, it was kind of that first season Nana being very Kirk-like, where she was like, this and that. But this guy, he's there. He's got his two associates who work in the field who are both, butchered during the Kardashian occupation, so they don't speak. And you can tell that, you can tell even through the stories that Molobach tells that, he was obviously traumatized and tortured, but he managed to survive. And that's why he clings like grim death to this piece of land he's built. So, it's a great story. It's a great character study for all of us and kind of learning to let things go. Things that are things and things that things aren't people, and that you can always rebuild. I mean, you and I have both been through that. We were married, we were divorced, there's rebuilding. So I think this was a great lesson in that. It was probably a great lesson in something that Kira learned as well.
I was really looking for analogies in this, and all I could think of was whenever they're going to expand a highway and the plan's in, they're trying to buy properties from people, and you see all the protest signs in front of their homes, and you know that it's just going to get built anyway, and you feel really bad for them. I had kind of the same emotional reaction that I have for those people to this old man.
I hear you. But in the end of it, I mean, it's a very grim end. In the end of it, Kira has to force his hand. She sets his house on fire, and he says, if I leave, I'll die. And then, of course, that's the last. You ever see the guy, you assume that he lives and he relocates, but he's very sad. And it's not like he and Kira still go out to brunch, because that was probably the end of their friendship. But, she did what she had to do to literally save his life, because he was going to die. He was going to literally die if he stayed there. So a good kind of Star Wars. Oh my God, Star Trek allegory. I know. It's, what, you do this long enough, you'll end up flipping it, because I do shows on both. You end up flipping them. I end up talking about a lot of Star Trek over on our Holocron Chronicles show. I do stick it in. Well, I mean, Star Trek has so many great examples when it comes to genre everything, and that show is primarily talking about canon, so I make that same reference, talking about everything in Star Wars that's happened after a certain point. Everything is canon, books and comics, whatever it is, but in Star Trek, it's just on the screen or nothing. So anyway, episode 16, we're getting back into silly territory. If wishes were horses.
Deep Space Nine is put in jeopardy when the crew's thoughts manifest themselves, as such figures as Rumpelstiltskin appear.
Oh my goodness. So we get Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. We get Buck Bokai, who is a baseball hero of Cisco's from the early 21st century. I think from the year 2015. So that one's kind of already passed us by. And then we get a ditzy version of Dax, who has fallen all over herself because she's in love with Bashir. So kind of, again, setting the tail. We had quite a few of these in the first half of the season, where it's like something wacky is going on around the wormhole, and it's the DS9 version of the bottle show that they would have on TNG, where they never needed to build any new sets because everything happened on the station. So there was no, which again, it's a lot more that case this first season, because they don't really go anywhere in a lot of cases. They might jump on a runabout and fly somewhere, but not a lot of VX special effects shots, because they're not leaving the station. But what do you think? Do you think they kind of made the most of it, or is this just kind of a dud?
I hate this episode.
Okay.
I really do. It's just weird. I looked for maybe an analogy in the writing. I can't find one. I don't get it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So what does it really teach us? You know what I mean? So whereas the Rumpelstiltskin thing doesn't make any sense. There's no contribution to any one of the starring characters or the guest starring characters, the overall premise. So it's a dud, and we'll leave it at that. That's fine by me. So number 17, we get our second our highest of the high profile season 1 guest spots, because in episode 2 we had the Duras sisters.
That's right.
Yeah. But this is take it away. Episode 17, The Forsaken.
The Federation ambassador from Beta Z, Loxana Troy, visits the station and develops an affection for Odo. Meanwhile, data from the mysterious Gamma Quadrant probe causes system failure on DS9.
So, B story, data from mysterious probe causes system failure. Who cares? I mean, that is so dime a dozen. It's so endemic of this season in general. But, Loxana comes on, and I think has some really nice moments with Odo. Now, again,
what a cougar.
Yeah, big. Well, I mean,
wow.
I guess, but I mean, we don't even really know how old Odo is, so but yeah, kind of a horny older lady, if that's what you mean. Pardon the expression. And it's funny because that ties back to a season 2 episode of TNG when she's going through the Betazoid phase, where a Betazoid woman can quadruple her sex drive. That's kind of terrifying, quite frankly. Even as a man, that's scary. But the phase comes and goes, and is she in like some kind of after phase right now? So that's why she's clamoring after this guy who's not really a guy. Who knows? But at any rate, the B story does service at least the A story, because Troy and Odo get stuck in an elevator, and because Odo has to get in his bucket every 18 hours because he has to regenerate, he starts to break down, and he starts to break down physically and kind of emotionally as well. And so he ends up opening up and talking to her, and she ends up revealing some things about herself. So that part of it I thought was kind of spot on character development for both, especially this early on for Odo.
I felt it was kind of cringeworthy, though, to watch her like really coming on to him when he was clearly uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to watch. She
hear
does
ya.
kind of redeem herself, where she like takes her wig off to make herself relatable and then lets him kind of melt into her lap. But in the very beginning of it, I was a little uncomfortable with her attitude.
Yeah. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that kind of behavior just continues to be less and less acceptable in our society, even from 25 years ago. So I mean, it's always been unacceptable, but people actually talk about it now. So
Right.
I understand where you're coming from. So episode 18, Dramatis Personae.
Tensions rise between the DS9 crew members after they are telepathically imprinted with the memories of participants of an alien power struggle.
Man, this was the episode where people just got buck nasty.
It's like the telepathic matrix was the mirror universe.
Right. Everybody was snarking at each other, and it didn't take much time at all for lines to be drawn and for, assassinations to be planned. And so, yeah, it quickly turned into the kickoff was, Kira wanted to delay a ship that Cisco said you don't have any reason to delay them. And then, once the telepathic imprinting takes over, she's like, I'm going to do what I want, and I think I'm going to kill him. And she goes on and starts recruiting, and because whatever this telepathic overlay that took over our main characters didn't affect Odo, he was able to play both sides of it and then bring it around to a point that he could find a way to, use a MacGuffin, an energy beam or whatever it is to drive it out of their heads. But yeah, Cisco snarling at Kira and Kira snarling at Cisco, and it was like, ugh, the tensions are just thin.
I liked Odo manipulating Bashir, though, through placating him,
Right.
but also manipulating him at the same time. I thought that was kind of neat. Otherwise, I didn't like anything in this episode.
Yeah, no, it was. I totally understand where you're coming from. So, but anyway, moving on to what I think are the last two episodes of the season, which I think are clearly the best since the finale, at least in my esteem. Certainly episode number 19, which is Duet.
A visiting Cardassian, Maritza, may be in fact a notorious war criminal, Gal Darheil, butcher of the Galatep labor camp, and Kira is determined to bring him down.
Oh, there was not a wasted second in this episode.
Wow, she was just bloodlust the whole time.
Right, and then but thank God, and this was, I think, a pivotal development for the character, that once confronted with the facts, she did a 180 because she did what she knew was right.
She did, I mean? But also, I kept thinking this when I'm watching it. She shouldn't be allowed to talk to this prisoner because she's clearly too emotional and has this bloodlust. Like, why are they continuing to allow her to do this?
Probably because it's TV. If I was to ask her to guess, and it's good drama. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's and I even think Odo says, "I think you're too close to this," and he's like, "Yeah, but," and they still let her go. So
he works. Odo works really well with Kira in this episode.
Right, and they have this great, complete emotional detachment at this point in the series, which obviously evolves into, he develops feelings for her kind of throughout seasons 2 and 3. And then it's kind of, and through the Dominion arc, they get close and they back away. And it's finally in season 6 that they become a couple. And then one of the most poignant moments of the finale is when he does return home and she watches him kind of wander off into the sea of changelings wearing his tuxedo. And, oh, God, I can't wait till we get to talk about the finale. Probably the single finest episode of Star Trek I've ever seen. But just everything was firing on all cylinders, and so early in the series, it was like this was a script, excuse me, written by some names that I don't find recognizable in the parlance of Star Trek. Lisa Rich and Jeannie Kerrigan Fauci, names that I've never heard of before and never heard of again. So these were some outsiders that jumped in and wrote a script that was just dynamite. It
was very intense.
Yeah, you had this character Maritza, who was willing to make a public statement by faking his own identity and then dying for the crimes of another, a gull, a butcher who was already dead, as it turns out. But in the end of it, he's freed. Kira's walking him out, and she's like, "No, I want you to start your life again." And a Bajoran drunk who was in the guy who was in the drunk tank earlier in the episode, who was finally out, walks up behind and stabs him in the back. And Kira says, "Why? He wasn't Darheil." And the guy says, "He's a Cardassian, and that's enough."
Yeah, that was an interesting ending to it, wasn't it?
Big time, yeah. And for her to simply say, "No, it's not," shows that Kira is really starting to live in a bigger world than, living in a ditch and being a Bajoran resistance fighter. Her life has changed, and it's been less than a year, which is actually a great statement that she makes in the next episode, the season finale, which is episode 20, In the Hands of the Prophets.
A conniving Bajoran cleric, Vedic Wynn, protests Keiko O'Brien's school on Deep Space Nine when she discovers Keiko is teaching her students that the inhabitants of the wormhole are aliens, not gods.
Woo! My God, the Scopes Monkey Trial in Space. My brother dubbed it when we were watching it. It's just, wow. I mean, the age-old, school versus religion, which we struggled with in the middle part of the 20th century and continues to be a struggle today, with religious types and with folks who are atheists and aren't believers, or they don't practice in the same way. And, this introduces us to the character of Vedic Wynn, who later becomes Kai. Sorry to spoil it, pretty much at the end of next season. But that she is a simply very duplicitous character. And it's funny with the adversarial relationship that she and Kira developed from the jump. Kira was behind her. Oh, she has my support. And I think what she's talking about is right. This, and that. But at the end of the episode, when it becomes pretty clear that Wynn was tacitly involved in an assassination attempt on Vedic Bareil, who was also introduced in this episode, later becomes Kira's love interest. Kira kind of withdraws her support for obvious reasons when the assassin is caught.
As she should. I mean, we learn Wynn is a bad person. I mean, she's very self-serving, which is also kind of a nod to the way that a lot of modern religion is now with these figureheads.
Yes. No pun intended.
Yeah. God, yes.
So, it was fantastic. But again, there was a great line at the end of the episode where Kira said, "My God, a year ago, I was hovering in a ditch, blowing up some Cardassian, installation or whatever. And if you would have come to me and told me the year later that I would be an administrator, an executive officer on a space station, I would have said you were crazy." So it's funny. You think about that really I was 17 when I saw this episode, so I was very young, but even to realize at that time what a difference a year makes in somebody's lives. And I mean, I'm sure you realize when you get to be an adult and even an older adult, how quickly things can change, and how circumstances and things that come into your life and the hand of fate can really turn things around. So I was enthused that they ended this first season, which was again super lumpy and filled with a lot of filler episodes, into such a powerhouse. I thought it was a dynamite way to wrap it up.
It was good. It kind of sets up the rest of the series.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, by the end of this, so season 1 concluded season 6 of Star Trek, The Next Generation. So obviously a very established program at that time. But I dare say that while I was so entrenched in TNG, because I had been watching it since it came on, that DS9 really, even with the clunky episodes, really set itself apart, in this first season as being something kind of dynamic and interesting. So
it does, and this series just gets better and better.
Right, exactly. So that is it. Any final thoughts on the season?
No, I like the episodes I watched. Like you said, there were some duds, but there were some really, really good ones.
Right. Yeah, I would say on a whole, definitely this back half of season 1 clobbers the front half of season 1, because there were even more duds in that one. So
like Come Along Home.
Yes. Oh my God. Ugh, the Wadi, which I used that in our what was it, the Scrabble that we did that we did recently.
We did Scrabble.
No, we did. You say
Scattergories.
Scattergories. That's what I was. Yeah, the Wadi was my pick. It must be because I watched the episode recently. But anyway, all right. Moving into news, we have 2 stories this week, and then we're going to kind of take it up on out of here. So, was announced this week that the History Channel, which got it in the world of streaming, I don't even know if I have it. I mean, I don't know if that's on Hulu or.
I think it's part of the Discovery program.
Which I don't have. So, yeah, okay. I don't have Discovery Plus or whatever. So, oh, well. I get, that's always one of those that do a week's trial once it's out, and I'll watch it and cancel, and I get to see it anyway. They'll get to harvest all my information, and so everybody's happy. A documentary called The Center Seat, 55 Years of Star Trek is coming to the History Channel, promising a deep dive into 5 decades of Star Trek. So, at first blush when they say that, I'm like, oh, it's going to be about TOS, and I'm kind of, because I'm always kind of about TOS,
So am I.
Yeah, I'm very much a TNG DS9 Voyager guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
as you know, when I participated in trivia, I know a lot about that era, but I definitely struggled with the TOS stuff. But since your Star Trek documentary series, The Center Seat, 55 Years of Star Trek, is in development at the History Channel. Yeah, sprung from the mind of Gene Roddenberry, the original series, blah, 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 this thing and that thing. Talks about the fact that it's not telling us when it's going to come out. So, I have enjoyed documentaries about Star Trek as time goes on. We had Trekkies 1 and 2. We had classic ones back in the day. We had the DS9 one a couple of years ago, which I thought was dynamite.
Our new Surgeon General was in all the Trekkie movies.
Who?
The new Region 13.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Daryl, right? Yeah. I think Alex mentioned that.
Yeah, he was very awesome. Cool.
Well, then he's got to maneuver his way to get into this one then. So he better get on it.
We'll see.
So this is cool. Oh, excuse me. It mentions that, the anniversary is actually in September, but it says that this could potentially be out at that time. So something to look forward to in the fall. And when it does come out, what am I thinking of? Of course, I'm going to have to watch it because we're going to have to talk about it on this show. So yes, we will watch it. We'll probably dedicate an episode to it that week. So that's that. Any thoughts about that? Are you a big docu fan?
I'm a docu fan. I'll definitely watch it. I mean, I liked the Search for Spock documentary that they did on Netflix. I thought it was wonderful. So.
Oh yeah, no, it was dynamite. So, and then second news, and this one touches very close to my heart. I mean, it's no secret that
my gosh,
I'm a big fan of Captain Pike simply because that's I'm a cosplayer and that's one of my top cosplays because the hair helps absolutely. But Strange New Worlds beams aboard 5 new additions to the cast and production is underway. We're the prequel series, which we've known about for probably about a year now, starring Anson Mount as Captain Pike, Ethan Peck as Lieutenant Spock, and Rebecca Romaine as Number 1, and their ongoing adventures, which I'm still hoping are going to be post-Discovery, not pre-Discovery, because I think that would be a waste if they, didn't take advantage of what a journey that season 2 of Discovery was for Spock. You don't really want to see him being robotic Spock. You want to see him be a little bit further moved along. So,
isn't this supposed to have like standalone episodes though?
Yes, and that's very episodic.
That's something I like because I like being able to watch something. We can talk about it. You can watch any episode at any point. I mean, if we were to watch Discovery, we would have to watch it in order,
right?
Because it all ties together. But we could just pick one up and it's
right.
It's fun.
It's a Planet of the Week, so it is embracing a format that is very familiar to Star Trek, but then also very popular with watchers of old. So let's hope that that's something that watchers of old enjoy. So we get kind of a string of a name of actors. One face I'm kind of familiar with. I don't know if you're looking at the article. I don't know if I can even attempt the name of this first dude, his last name.
Yeah, I know him from Black Mirror.
Okay, but how do you say the name?
I'm not going to try to say it either. I have no idea.
So exactly. We'll call him Babs, B-A-B-S. We'll call him Babs O. Exactly.
Lucen Moken.
Oh, that works for me. I like it. Netflix's Black Mirror, Marvel's The Defenders. Well, I'll have to rewatch that. And the Night of from HBO. And again, all of these are no character description, so we do not know who they're going to be. Christina Chong is
she's from Black Mirror too.
Oh, there you go. I guess there's a Black Mirror fan in the casting department here. So Christina Chong currently appears in the recently released Tom and Jerry animated movie, which is on HBO Max right now. CW's Bulletproof. She's been in Doctor Who, BBC's Ill Behavior, BBC's Line of Duty, Sci-Fi's Dominion, etc. She's got a lot of genres.
Who was she in Doctor Who? I don't remember her.
I'm not that much of a Whovian, but yeah, she doesn't jump out to me. Could just be a guest star. Okay. If it was anything more than that, I'm sure that it would probably be recognizable. Celia Rose Gooding is starred as Frankie Healy in Jagged Little Pill, which I assume was not about Alanis Morissette. Oh, it was inspired by Alanis Morissette. Oh my gosh. On Broadway. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so she's a theater actor.
Right, it doesn't even mention any film credits, so
that's perfect. In the spirit of Trek, let's use theater actors; they're wonderful.
Exactly. Next up is Jesse Bush from the indie feature Skinford. Doesn't ring a bell for me. And then Channel 10 series Playing for Keeps. I'm assuming that's British.
It's Australian.
There you go. Yeah, because this mentioned she also played the role of Bella in the Australian series Halifax Retribution. So I love the Aussies. My favorite podcast that I'm not in is called The Weekly Planet. They have a string of podcasts kind of like we do. So I kind of get things that are Aussie. So I'm a fan. What can I say? Melissa Navia is next. She has been in AMC's critically acclaimed series Dietland, not familiar with it. Showtime's Billions, I would know Don Cheadle stars in that. And then Homeland, which is a show my wife watches. And then an off-Broadway debut. So, again, a theater actor. So that's the end of that slate. So that is a real powerhouse. Now, it makes me wonder. Now, we haven't heard anything about kind of Discovery Disco prizes, because that's what we refer to the uniforms as costumers, because they're a vastly improved version of the TOS pajama shirts, which I can't stand. Absolutely can't stand them. I know some people really easily identify. I know you have a traditional disco uniform, don't you? And I do as well.
I do. I do like the way that the next gen are, because you don't really have to have matching pants. Like you can wear black pants.
Right. You talk about next gen as the next generation, or the next gen of this uniform that we're talking about?
The next generation.
Oh, gotcha. Well, these are very similar, and actually they're the pants that come with these, because I did kind of buy them separately. And again, what's nice about the Disco Prize uniforms is that it's a jacket, so it zips up, and it does have that weird floppity collar that the Discovery one does. But it's the exact same patterning. So the you kind of got the shoulders with the lines on them, and the pants which are separate. Which
I can't wear the pants, so I literally just wear the uniform top with pajama pants when I'm on camera.
Okay.
Because the pants are always too short. I'm too tall.
Oh, no.
So that's why I like the other series pants where they don't have to match. I can just wear my own black pants that are long enough.
You should absolutely get one. And if we ever end up doing a show together, we can wear them together.
As long as it's, neck up, I can wear the disco top.
So you'd have to be sitting down? We'd have to have you at the table on the laptop, and you couldn't stand up?
Absolutely.
Like a blanket thrown over you like Aunt May from Spider-Man?
Yeah, we could do that.
There you go. So, yeah, we don't know anything about the potential return of Samora Smallwood's Lieutenant Amin, or Amit Katur's Cadet Sidhu, who we saw in the short track. So, but anything is possible. But I got to tell you, and again, I would love it if they, if the show's in production, I hope to God that means we see it before the end of the year. It'd be great if it was this fall, but I don't know.
I doubt it. I think we'll be able to see it this time next year.
Yeah, which is, we'll all God willing, we'll all still be here. So what difference does it really make?
Exactly.
But I'm really, like I said, this is kind of my sense of anything that's come along. This is the thing I'm the most fired up about, because I just love Anson Mount's Christopher Pike.
I love your enthusiasm.
He just really nails it. So, well, good. Well, that is the end of the program. So I'm going to give you, as we talked about in the pre-roll, I'm going to give you Alex's honor of reading the outro message. So you go right ahead.
Okay, for more information about Starfleet International and Michigan and beyond, please visit Grand Petoskey, Septarian, or Nomad on Facebook.
Ooh, you snuck that in. That's okay.
The Code 47 podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network and is produced by Todd Oxtra.
Yes, my brother from another mother. Thank you, friends, as always, for joining us. Again, we are part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, consisting of this wonderful program, which is weekly, and we talk about Star Trek. The Holocron Chronicles, which is bi-weekly, myself and Mark Carabin, the Canardian, talking about Star Wars. Co-op mode is Todd Oxtra, who is my best friend of 25 years, and the other main secret friend, and Mark, talking about video games. And of course, Todd and I, 6.5 years running, doing the Secret Friends Unite podcast, which is kind of your a la carte geek culture podcast. So find us wherever you find your podcast, whether that be Apple, iTunes, Google Play, etc. Please 5-star and leave us a review, and we can get you a great prize from our fantastic digital library. Also, hit us up on Twitter over @SecretFriendsU. Let us know things you're enjoying, Trek, video games, Star Wars, what have you, and we will talk about it on the show. If you have a question, we'll answer that too. We also have a great store over on TeePublic. That has the logos from all of your favorite Secret Friends Unite shows. Proceeds from that do benefit a charity very near and dear to my heart here in Michigan called the League of Enchantment, which does outreach for kids across the country, including hospital visits and care packages and things of that nature. So do that and know that you are benefiting a great cause. Erin, once again, thank you for joining me. Where can people find you out in the world of social media?
So you can find us at USS Nomad Facebook page. We also have a brand new website we launched, and it's gorgeous. It is USS Nomad or ussnomad.ca.
Canadians!
Yes, they're. I'm not Canadian, but my ship is Canadian.
I'm not a Canadian, but I sometimes play one on the show, myself personally. Well, that is awesome. So again, friends, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Erin. I'm going to tell you, as always, that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Thank you for having me.